Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Contract Review Committee for Friday, November 8th at 9 a.m. to order. And I'd like to first establish quorum. So up on the screen, we have John Balash,
Here.
Bert Johnson,
Here.
Linda Williams,
Here.
in person, Sue Mintonen here, and myself, Veronica Bolchick. We have quorum. If Joanna joins us, we will let her in when she arrives. So first item, or actually third item, approval of the agenda. Yes.
Staff and members of the public.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. We have staff members, Alexandria
Here.
and Jericho.
In attendance?
And we do have Megan
Sorry, Morgan Baker.
Morgan, I'm sorry, Morgan Baker. My eyesight is not good enough to read the small print, so Morgan Baker from the public up on the screen.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Alrighty. And I believe that's it for the moment. Alrighty. Approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion?
So.
All right. Second.
Second.
All righty. By roll call, Bert Johnson,
Aye.
John Balash,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Sue Mintonen,
Aye.
and myself, Veronica. Thank you. All right, approval of minutes from the 27th of September, October 7th, and October 18th. I have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
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 All right. Bert Johnson,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Linda Williams,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
myself, aye. Minutes approved. Just want to make a comment. I wanted to thank Lexi for providing concise, on time minutes. Very much appreciated.
No problem.
And public comment.
I have no public comment on behalf of parents. I'm just here to learn more about other organizations and the topics that are being discussed in ways that maybe we can collaborate in the future with other organizations.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so now on to the meat and potatoes of the day, the grant review process. Everyone should have received a digital copy of the grant applications.
I'll share the first page, just so we're all looking at the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you all see the cheat sheet? Should be page 1 in your top left area. And then I will bump up the zoom a little bit to make it easier to see.
So what is up on the screen are 18 submissions for the Human Services Grant. One of our previous meetings, we discussed we are keeping the Human Services Grant and the Substance Use Grant separate. So for Human Services, we have 18 submissions, and if I'm looking at just the tally sheet, the ask that we have is $1.4 million for $650,000. it's a lot.
I believe this is the largest we've ever had. It's also the most applicants we've had for the CRC, and it's also, I think, the most new applicants in a single year.
Right, right. And I think in some ways we should have expected this, because when we put out the call for proposals, we made it clear that people should apply. And also, in our last grant cycle, we did have a separate process that was the Youth Behavioral Health Grant. And some of those applicants have applied now for this pool of money. And I think that historically, even though we always did cover youth all the way through, we did not hit some of those new programs that came in for specifically for youth. So those are also incorporated here. Yes, Jericho?
So specifically, in the HERD program is what we were referring to as the HORSES program from the Youth Behavioral Health Grant. Not the Lighthouse School. The Sharing Kindness came about from some relationships that developed part of the Youth Behavioral Health Grant. And then there is an application for the substance misuse that also is an extension of the Wellness for Youth program that NAMI ASAP ran for the Behavioral Health Grant. Additionally, last year when we started the FY25 one, the Youth Behavioral Health Grant was still in operation. So some of the applicants did not apply for CRC last year because they were still using their grants from the previous, from the Youth Behavioral Health Grant cycle.
Right, because that money, those decisions weren't made until later in the cycle. So they were in the mix when we were asking for others, so.
Yeah, does that mean Dreamland and the Boys and Girls Club knew the CRC too?
Yes,
So this is the first grant from, the first direct Boys and Girls Club, sorry, I forgot about that. And then Dreamland as well, this is their second application to this body, but the first application for the CRC Human Services funding.
okay. Also, STAR, have they ever applied for
Same
this?
thing, Youth Behavioral Health Grant, $20,000 application.
Right, right. So in any case, let's talk about the, how we're gonna dig into this.
So what we need to assign, today we need to
Right.
assign these to individuals and determine when we're gonna do the interviews, so I can notify the agencies as quickly as possible.
Exactly.
Okay.
So,
And I have Joanna coming in.
okay, good.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
For some reason, my computer made me update my Zoom program last week. I do not have a raise my hand on the bottom at all. I have participants, React, Share, AI Companion, apps, and more, and none of that allows me to raise my hand. Jericho, you're the computer guy. Where's the raise the hand?
yeah, you know,
Noticed
Linda,
on mine, Linda, I don't have it on mine, and I just did the update the other day.
I experienced that also, so it could be either a flaw in their update or whatever. So I think for today's meeting, and maybe we can investigate for the future, please do, and I know Linda, you're not on screen, so please just say, I'd like to
It's under
comment.
it's under React.
react.
Did go there.
It shows the little
I
hand.
see it now. I see it now.
Okay.
It's under the heart at the bottom.
Yes, it's the heart React. It's under there.
That is so stupid.
How intuitive, right?
We need to add this to the ethics training, is like, how does?
It's in training.
Oh.
Thank
There
you,
we go.
Joanna.
You're
That's
welcome.
ridiculous. I hate that is up these updates. I hate them.
Yeah,
That was move something 6 inches to the left.
Someone has to justify their position.
well, yeah, exactly, exactly. We
They're
need more
justifying how
efficiency.
much money we pay them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what we have is we have 18 of of the grants. The process that we've used in the past, few years is, I am requesting that everybody read every grant, but then I'd like to have people assigned to specific grants to go deeper in. And I think the first place to start is, I know that I am going to recuse myself from one of the applicants, and that's for NIFRA, for the, I'm not sure how they're listed on here.
Interfaith Council.
Interfaith Council. I'm going to recuse myself from them. Of course, I will read the application, but I will not participate in those discussions. So I will not do that one. Is there anyone else?
I am
Sue,
recusing from the warming place.
the warming place. All right. Anyone else have any of the
Well, let me,
applicants?
I have a question at least with with the respect to the Athenaeum. My wife is a trustee and maybe for appearance's sake, I should recuse myself from that one.
Okay. And John, I think that's a wise thing, you know, if there's any, as we
If there's any,
learn.
if there's any question, why I'll make it possible to raise it.
Exactly, and having just recently sat through ethics and open public meeting training again, if it has the appearance of a violation or whatever, then you just recuse. So thank you, John. We're going to take you off of the Athenaeum.
If we know, Madam Chair, if we know which ones we'd like to do right now, I think that Jericho told me yesterday, each one of us is going to get 3, I guess. Can I give you the 3 that I'd like now in case I have to get out of here?
Okay, well, you know, we do have some time. It's only 9:15, so we will, you know, get through this. So that leads the discussion, you know, we can do this just by, we have big ticket ones that we may want everyone to just go deep into, or we can pick, or we can just randomly assign. Linda, obviously, you would like specific ones. Does
Yeah.
anyone have a problem with doing that? And if we don't have people pick, then we'll do a random assignment for the rest. So, Linda, since your hand went up first, can I get your request?
Safe Place. Boys and Girls Club. And where's the other one? Sherburne.
Okay.
I just have to walk across the street.
Okay. Alrighty.
Smarter, not harder.
Yes, exactly. Does anyone else have any requests?
Well, my only point is that if we're going to have any visitations involved, I have limited the ability to get into places that are difficult to get into.
Okay, but I think that in some cases, a visitation can be a phone call. I don't necessarily see that we physically have to go and visit everyone.
That's my only consideration.
Yeah, and I think that that will be also for other people just because of time and logistics, so.
Right, we're not gonna go to in the hurry.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Although
I would love to, but you know, at this point, we're not doing that. So I might as well ask John, do you have any specifics that you would like to go deep down into?
I don't have anything specific, but maybe you could get, given what my particularly talents are, you might decide that there are some that I'm more useful for than others.
Okay.
I can tell you, Madam Chair, which ones are actually handicap accessible, if that helps.
Okay. Well, I think, you know, we'll let it play out because I don't know if, you know, we really, are expected to go to all of these. So Joanna?
I would like to work on Dreamland and the Interfaith Council. I'm trying to think of where else, is there, and then if you think that I'd be useful on another one, I think those two are the ones that I'm interested in the most.
Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty, let's go to Bert. Bert, do you have any specifics that you have a stronger interest in?
Yeah, I can't say it, we still do small friends, right?
Small Friends did not submit this year.
Oh. The Boys and Girls Club in the food pantry,
Do you want two of us doing one thing? Because I've already put in for the Boys and Girls Club. Do you want two of us like we used to going to places, or just one of us, one each of us?
Well, I'm thinking maybe on some of these bigger ones, maybe we should have two people. So, and actually both of those are larger amounts. So Bert, I'm gonna put you down for Boys and Girls.
With me?
Yep, and also at Interfaith. And so it may wind up that we'll have more than three. But let's see how this shakes out. All right, Sue,
I would like to do In the Herd.
Which one?
in the herd.
Great.
And Health Imperatives
Okay,
and the Athenaeum.
okay.
Which one?
Athenaeum,
All right, you got to speak out louder because that owl doesn't pick up everybody.
okay. So Sue, Athenaeum, in the herd and health imperatives.
Veronica,
Yes,
I would add star, I can add star.
okay. Alrighty, I am going to do Fairwinds. I'd like to do the warming place. Actually, on NAMI, I am gonna recuse myself on that because my husband is on the board there, so I really should not do that either. And you know, as far as others,
Well,
yes, John?
I mean, I could certainly pick up South Coast Legal. I could pick up
This
I
vineyard.
don't have it on the screen, but if you come roll the screen down. Uh, um, Elder Services,
Okay.
but those
Yep.
I certainly can pick those two up and
Okay.
I can
All right,
take
that leaves what? That leaves Sharing Kindness, NAMI, Martha's Vineyard, Lighthouse School, and Artists Association. I don't mind doing the Artists Association. I started out with them years ago.
Okay.
And I would be happy to take the Lighthouse School too.
Okay.
And I would be happy to take Sharing Kindness.
Who's that? Who said that?
Sue.
and
And
I,
I'll do,
I, hmm.
I'm sorry, I'll do Martha's Vineyards Community Services. Do that.
That only
and
leaves NAMI left then.
NAMI's the big one.
Maybe,
Um,
who's gonna take the Artist Association? Oh, Linda, you are.
Linda.
Well,
that.
I can do the Artist Association also because I actually go to that
Okay.
building. I
Okay.
participate in art classes, and so I can certainly pick that one up if anybody wants me to.
Well, I did it. I'm doing it with you then.
Okay. That'll
NAMI is the
be
only
good,
one
Linda.
left. NAMI's a big one, guys.
Yeah.
I can do NAMI.
Who's
Okay.
that?
Sue.
Somebody should do that with you then,
I would like
given the
that.
amount. Who's that?
I would like somebody to do it also.
So we have Veronica has a conflict there, so we'll need either John, Bert, or Linda or Joanna.
I'll do it with you, Sue.
Perfect. Either later today or over this weekend, I'm gonna try and get a little cheat sheet, more or less, for the particular, like the worksheet that we discussed.
Yes,
Where there'll just be like a one-page, worksheet where you'll fill out like the like maybe the 2 best points about the application, and then 2 points of concern, and then just your general assessment of what you think of the proposal.
okay.
Um,
So our next step in this would be to come back in our next meeting with questions from the applications or from, that you have with the organizations, that we will then compile and then determine who's going to be coming in for interviews. So, Sue, you have a question before
I did, I'm just, since we made such an effort to get 2 on NAMI, should we have 2 on Dreamland, which is a very big ask, and Fairwinds?
Okay. I'd be happy to do Dreamland also. If someone wants to do Fairwinds with me.
I will.
Okay. So the big tickets, we have 2 people. All right, okay. So, as I said, I think that we're gonna need time to dig in and to talk with the organizations. And, like I said, the next time we meet will be to, go through, as Jericho said, he's gonna send out just a high-level observation sheet. In your own words, what they're asking for, the amount, and then questions on there, so we can then compile it. The calendar for the next 3 months is tight, without a doubt, because the first thing that we've decided a couple of months ago is that this Friday morning slot is the best time slot for people to be available for. So our meetings all will be on Friday mornings. There's only one time when we do interviews, we may have a meeting on a Tuesday and a Friday, so we can have the interviews all in one week. So I have a proposal for a calendar, if people can pull out their individual.
Throw that up on the screen as well.
Okay, so I think we need a few weeks to dig in, and because of Thanksgiving popping up, I'd like to have a meeting on November 22nd, which would be 2 weeks from today. Do people think that that's adequate time?
So are between now and then, are you thinking that we're gonna be calling these individual
Right,
places with our own questions?
right.
So what I would suggest that however you wish to examine these agencies is acceptable. If we're gonna do an official on the record presentation for them, I would very much like to have the questions ready ahead of time. But if you have questions that you wanna ask of these organizations when you contact them, I would imagine that's
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah, I think it's hard to divide those out, because if you're having a conversation and you have a question, certainly do answer it, ask it, and then record, your answer for them. But so the 22nd, we would expect everyone to have read it all, then gone deep into their assignments, make visitations or calls to those organizations if you have questions and need further information. And on the 22nd, we'll come in with questions that still need to be answered, and then determine if they're going to be asked to come in for an interview.
So not everybody's coming in. for
No.
an interview.
No, no. During our bidders information session, and in one of the previous meetings leading up to that, we determined that if the application is complete, if we have all the information we need, people don't need to come in. My question, and this would be for the committee, do we need to offer it to everyone and have them decline if we don't have a burning reason to have them come, those folks will come in. But if we just, feel that it's answered adequately, should we offer it and have people decline? Is it, could it be construed as being, we didn't allow them to, give more information, so.
Can I make
Joanna?
can I make a oh, I forgot to take my hand down. Can I make a suggestion though?
Yes.
I do think I think to be fair, we should offer everybody a chance to come in and talk with us. But I'm just gonna suggest an alternative way to do that. I think that if we chose one Saturday morning, right? And we did this from 9 to noon, and we invited anyone who wants to speak to us to come in, that could work better than what we're doing.
You
Because
can't do a Saturday. It's illegal. It's not open to the public.
the finance committee does Saturday every year.
I know every board I've been on, we have not been allowed to do it on Saturdays.
Well,
I'll reach out to compliance to get an official determination of that. I'll check with Maureen, basically, to see if that's acceptable.
Right,
I
'cause
don't have a problem with that.
I appreciate your view, Linda, but if it's advertised, the building is open, it's we're giving access.
yeah,
I don't see what the issue would be, but getting a ruling from compliance certainly is warranted then.
And what type of Saturday are we talking about here? I don't have an open Saturday from now until January. What Saturdays are we talking about?
Well, what I had looked at, just in trying to map this out, so November 22nd is when we would meet just with questions, etc. And then we've got Thanksgiving and we have stroll, etc. So staying away from there. I was looking at interviews the week of the 10th and the 13th. The problem is that 14th is December Delight, so I don't
And I'm
think
running
that,
December Delight, so that's why I don't have a Saturday here.
right.
I feel like Saturdays during the holidays are
Tough.
kind of rough.
I think that, yeah,
Well, let's look at the calendar from the end date then. Because we'd like to have this all wrapped up by January 31st. Meaning January 31st, it would be nice to have the selections made and a report ready and for finance. So if we back into it, do we want to wait to do interviews in January and then do our deliberations? It's going to be a jam-packed January, but steer clear of December. Because the only dates that I put on my calendar just as a draft was December 10th and 13th, which is a Tuesday and a Friday for interviews.
In the past, we have gotten about, we did, I think, 15-minute interview or presentation windows. And then we managed to get about 6 in per 2-hour periods. That means we could potentially do 12 with 1 week, if the tempo works out for me.
We just need a timekeeper.
We will, I mean, I might just do the clock type thing.
Right.
I am curious, I have no intuition as to how many organizations will want to present in person. I suspect, we discussed in the past that anyone over a particular dollar value plus all new applicants would get called in.
Right.
It might be helpful to see how many people already fall under that, and I'll work that out right now.
Okay. So if we do a Saturday, the first probably available Saturday would be January 4th. So if we do interviews on January 4th, then deliberations could be the 10th and the 17th. And then between the 17th and the 31st, time for the report. So it could work. And that means that we may not need to have the November 22nd. We can maybe have a meeting in December, which will give us more time to dig into these, because there is a lot.
I mean, I think that December 22nd is aggressive. To try to reach out to 1, 2, 3, for me to reach out to 5 different read 5 things, talk to 5 different people. I just think that's tough.
Okay.
Are you talking about a meeting on the 22nd of December?
No, that was November 22nd. I'm sorry if I said December, November 22nd.
My other question is, if for organizations that have 2 people assigned, could those 2 people coordinate so that organizations aren't
Yes,
fielding multiple calls? on the
yes.
As long as it's less than 2 people, it doesn't consider, it's not counted as
Right.
deliberation, so
Mhm.
you are free to do anything like that.
same? Yeah, that
Okay.
just feels kinder.
Okay. So if we can do a Saturday meeting for interviews, that would be the 4th. If we can't do the Saturday, can we do the interviews then on January 3rd?
So the school calendar is such that I'm a little concerned about that.
Okay,
I don't think we cannot, essentially, I don't believe we could schedule a meeting the full first week of January. I don't think.
Yeah, I would agree, because the school, let me just double check. I have the calendar here somewhere. Where is my calendar? I don't believe school goes back until the Monday.
until the Monday, the 6th.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that does eliminate a lot of people. It's still technically, I guess, vacation, holiday, travel, etc.
That is
Oh,
correct.
no,
They have 2 full weeks off. They have 2 full weeks off.
yep, they don't go back to school till the 6th. So
Yeah.
I don't even think we can have the
No.
meeting on Saturday, the 4th. You're gonna have a lot of people who are off island.
Exactly, and that would not be fair. So now we look at January,
It would have to be the 11th.
right, or the 10th, the 11th or the 10th
Yep.
for interviews.
So 2 things are.
When is that, wait a minute, when is that 3-day weekend in January?
20th, 18th,
Okay.
19th, 20th.
A couple things arise. Using $100,000 request threshold and the new applicant threshold, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 assured plus 2, I believe, from the substance
Right.
misuse. So that's 11 that we're committed to without anybody else volunteering.
Right,
Additionally, there is a possibility that since this is work activity, we might not be able to get presenters to work on a day that they are not normally scheduled. So there's a tiny complication there. I think a combination of those approaches could work if we have a couple, like we do 2 weekdays in one of those, and then we do a weekend for people who are for the, I guess, the voluntary interviews or voluntary presentations.
so I'm confused with what you just said. So you're saying do a Saturday, but then also have another day of the week.
So if we do, so I think Joanna's idea of a Saturday is probably a more efficient allocation of time. Like, I think that would be the fewest number of meetings for it,
Mhm.
but there are people who, like, it's difficult to ask people to come into work on a Saturday to give a presentation. So my suggestion would be that we make sure that there is a combination of the 2, and that if we do sort of the voluntary interviews,
Mhm.
we do those on a Saturday.
Okay, so the 10th and the 11th
Might be.
for interviews.
Maybe even the 10th, 11th, and 14th if needed.
So if we do January interview dates, then typically it takes us a week or two for deliberations once all of the interviews and final questions are done. That means we can still render our report to FinCom by the latest of early February.
Right, so if we do the 10th, 11th, and potentially the 14th for interviews, then we can do deliberations on the 17th and on the 24th.
How did we get to the Tuesdays? Oh, no, you said, because you said something about the 14th.
Right, the 14th, if we need an extra interview day,
Okay, I can't be available that day because it's, it's the crack committee from 10 to 12.
okay.
17th and the 24th are fine.
Okay, but I think, you know, if we do interviews on the 10th and the 11th, hopefully everyone will fit into there.
That is
Yeah.
just we can,
Right.
weekend meeting, which I think we can, but
Okay.
I do want to confirm.
All right, so then just back to what we're talking about here.
Are we still talking about the 18th of January?
No.
All
Nothing
right,
on
because that's a long
the
weekend.
11th. The 10th and the 11th,
Okay,
10th and the 11th for interviews,
okay,
which is Friday and Saturday. Then we will start deliberations on the 17th, which is Friday, and then also schedule the 24th, which is also Friday.
all right. Keep in mind the 17th is a long weekend.
Right, but
It's just deliberations.
deliberations and, you know, long weekend should start on Friday night, I believe, because Monday is the holiday,
What time do we want to have these meetings?
9 in the morning.
All right,
All right. So the 17th and the 24th will be deliberations. And then, the report we will have done hopefully by February 5th. All right, that's workable. All right, so if we go back to when we will get together again, we really don't want to do November 22nd, so we're not starting to do this. So let's pick a day in December. And it would either be the 13th or the 20th. I would prefer the 13th,
Me too. I won't be here on the 20th.
yeah, because.
hang on one
20th
second. I am not available on the 13th. I set up for December Delight that whole week. I am not going anywhere on December 13th. Because December 14th is the December
Right.
Delight.
Right. December 6th, that is stroll, and I
have a board meeting from 9 to 11 that day.
okay. So,
I'd rather do it on the 20th then.
That would mean
I'll just change my plans.
so it'll be the meeting today, the next meeting will be the 20th under that proposal?
right,
So it's December 20th?
does that work for everyone?
So that means, given that, what I would really like to have by the end of this meeting is an idea of who we're gonna be calling in, at least initially. Or rather, well, we've got the dates, or I can communicate that out.
Right.
And that gives them a month and a half, so actually, that's fine.
Right, right. So our next meeting will be December 20th. Yes, yeah, we have to do the substance abuse, but I think we needed to nail down this calendar first. So we won't meet until December 20th, but we have plenty of work to do between now and December 20th, and there's holidays and all activities going on, so.
All right, I'm just so you know, on the 20th, I'm in Florida. My daughter's coming from Australia. My son and his family are in Florida, and I'm out of here on the 17th.
Can you get away to Zoom for 2 hours?
Absolutely not. I'm with 6 grandchildren at one time.
All right.
Okay, do we look then at a
I think-
Tuesday?
Well, you're gonna be gone that whole week, right, Linda?
Yep.
So then it's irrelevant. We'll just have to make do, I think.
December 10th, which is a Tuesday?
Nope.
No?
Well, December 10th. Hold on.
I can't on December
can-
10th, crack meeting at 10.
Okay,
I can do the 9th that week.
I don't think I think Tuesday and Friday were picked because those are the ones with the least number of conflicting things for everybody else.
I could do the 6th.
Nope, I can't do 6.
no,
I can do other times on the 10th. It doesn't have to be at the same time that Joanna has a meeting.
I think I also have FinCom that day. We're gonna be up
We're
against
just
all of
gonna
that
have to
stuff.
make do.
Okay,
I mean, that just means we're razor thin on quorum for that day.
okay, so 20th, we go with the
Not here.
20th then?
You,
And
you guys
Linda-
want to go without me? That's good.
And-
I'm not doing the 20th.
But what we're gonna ask is that before the 20th, you submit your questions, et cetera, so we have that in plenty of time, so we'll have your input anyway. Is that good?
What are you going to be doing exactly on the 20th?
On the 20th, we're going to be reviewing the applications and presenting the completed worksheets with your pros and your cons and any questions you want to provide to them before their presentation.
Okay.
So I'll be sending out the worksheets with four little sections. You just fill out what the 2 best points and 3 concerns you have, and then your estimation of their amount of the recommendation, what you think is a good ask or a bad ask.
So just to review, we won't get together again until December 20th, which is Friday, and we'll do 9 to 11. Then we will have interviews on the 10th and potentially the 11th. And then we have deliberations on January 17th and January 24th.
Those,
All right, and I appreciate everyone getting this on your calendar now and blocking that time off because we need to get it done, and we'll try to be as efficient as possible.
Can-
So any
Can
questions,
can
John?
you, can you, after meeting is over, can you just send an email with those dates, proposed dates? Because going back and forth
I
is,
know.
haven't been able
You
to
will
get
get,
them.
you will get that, John. Ask Lexi to send out just a summary of our meeting schedule for the next.
Right.
Through deliberations.
Yeah.
All right, you will get that, John. Everyone will get that.
Everybody should get it. It's just, it
Oh, I
goes
know.
back and forth and I don't want to make a mistake.
I don't know if you could see, but I've got a little sticky here that's been crossed out and up and down or whatever, but Lexi has a legal pad over there and it's been writing fast and furiously, so between,
Okay.
we'll get it right. All right, and in that email, you also will do all the assignments of who's going to be, diving deep, all right, into what organizations. All right, any other questions on the Human Services grant? Because now we have to look at the substance
Yeah, I have
misuse.
just one point in terms of interviews, since I cannot see on the basis of a past experience and that we should offer them the legal services a chance to come, but on the basis, having him come across the pond for a meeting makes no sense. But
Exactly.
when I reach him on the phone and talk to him, I'd make it perfectly clear if he really wants to come, he can come, but there's no reason to, and it will not prejudice him in any way.
Right, and also, it will be available by Zoom, so we don't expect, if we're doing interviews, we don't expect people to be here physically, since our meetings are hybrid, so if, if perchance he really wants to
Yeah, that's
speak to the
good.
entire group, it will be done by Zoom
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of set the atmosphere or the general feeling that I wanted to convey to him, because
Yes,
we know him, we know how well they do, and we know what they do, and it's kind of a very confined situation in terms of
exactly.
what they do. Anyway,
Okay, thank you, John.
And then
Yes.
when we communicate out to agencies about their presentations, we'll make certain that the language included in the optional invite is that participation in an interview does not impact, we'll have to think about the wording for it, but that if you do not want to do an interview, that will not.
That doesn't impact,
Right,
your,
yeah.
no, absolutely, absolutely. If, honestly, there's some here that I'm looking at that, we are familiar with their organization. Unless there's something new, there's a new program that we may want to just hear more about, that's it, but we don't need, but we do, I thought about, not asking everyone is a bias, so everyone needs to be asked, but told that it's not a requirement.
yep,
All right,
And that non-participation will not. negatively
Right.
Yeah.
exactly.
It's the risk reward relationship. And I think a lot of our agencies are staffed by extremely motivated and people who will want to talk about this. So
Mhm.
we'll probably get a fair number of them to do
Right.
that. But we will stress that it's not mandatory. And that if we do, when we're doing the scheduling, the optional or voluntary ones, if we do the Saturday meeting, they'll fall on that Saturday.
Okay. All right. Can we move on to substance misuse?
Yep.
There we have 4 applicants, and with that, I'm just looking, we have $175,000. And actually, Jericho, I'm gonna turn it over to you just to talk a little bit about that dollar amount
So
and,
Sorry. didn't mean to
Please.
keep going.
no, please go.
So I'm about to share the screen for you guys so you can see what the requests specifically are and who they are. The most important thing for us to note this year is this is the last year that this money will be collected in this amount. It is very likely it will not exist this time next year because of changes in state law about how this money is collected. Very briefly, it's not super important to us, but it might be helpful for you guys to realize why this is changing. But what happened is the monies we were allocating for this fund, the substance grants, all of it was collected from impact costs that were part of an agreement between the dispensaries on Nantucket, the marijuana dispensaries, the cannabis dispensaries on Nantucket, and the town. And then the state has just ruled the collection of impact fees as illegal as of this year. So we'll have to work with finance to see what the recreational sales tax use is and how it's allocated here. But as of now, we should consider this to be the last guaranteed substance misuse grant.
Okay. All right. Our,
Jericho,
Yes.
you have to talk into the microphone here. So I heard lots of mumblings, but I didn't get any very specifics of what you were just saying. So when you talk about that, please be sure you direct your voice at the microphone that comes through my screen.
I will need to sit in a different spot in the future because I cannot stare directly at the owl like this. It makes me feel crazy. But Cliff notes, this is the last time we will have the substance misuse fund in this amount due to changes in state law that apply to dispensaries.
Okay.
Okay. Because I couldn't hear you either because you turn and look at the screen. We're not looking at you looking at the screen. I need you to look at the owl.
I need to look at you guys when I'm talking to you. So we'll have.
Yeah, and we can't see you looking at us, so don't bother to look at us.
right,
It's not a conscious decision.
it's psychosis on his part, that's it.
We're not up there.
Joanna?
Veronica, I need to recuse on 2 of these grants.
Okay, so let's get that done.
So the
which ones?
NAMI ASAP grant and the PRISM grant.
Okay,
Thank you for telling us what PRXM is.
PRISM.
okay. And I will recuse on the NAMI ASAP. So do we have anyone who, and I think with this, we probably should have, you know, I don't think we need 2 on all of them. So does anyone have wants from the list?
I've done addiction solutions when he first started this thing with Dorothy. So I know what the benchmark was. I don't mind doing addiction solutions again with Leffer.
They did some nice additions this year.
Okay.
Specifically the wraparound services and the connection.
You're looking at the screen again.
Oh, talk to the owl.
They did some nice additions this year. Especially the behavioral health and the wraparound services we've asked about in previous years.
Yeah, because that was the first thing that Dorothy and I asked him about coordination with other entities.
I would like to do addiction solutions also. So Linda, I'd be happy to do that with you.
Okay.
I can do health imperatives because I'm already doing health imperatives in the other grant. So
Okay,
I'm assigned to just keep it all together.
okay. Anyone for NAMI? ASAP?
This is the program that's quite similar to the youth behavioral health
Yes.
grant program. This is the wellness for students, I think.
Yes, yes. Okay, if we don't have things, then we'll have to, sort of draw straws. PRISM. I can do PRISM. So back to NAMI or the mastering the mind.
So I am going, we'll do the random number generator approach.
Right,
All right, so then, left to right on the screen.
Okay.
And then around here, so it's 1, Joanna's 2, Linda's 3, Bert is 4, 5, and 6.
6.
And I'll just generate a number between 1 and 10, or 1 and 6
6.
rather.
But it can't be Joanna or I.
Well, good, it was John.
Okay, John, tag, you're it.
For NAMI ASAP.
Okay, well, I guess I don't feel very competent, but I guess I can do it.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about it.
I wouldn't,
It's-
and I don't want to share bias or whatever, but, they've run a successful program for the youth behavioral health grant, so. And I think they're pretty well continuing with some of that, so I think, John, you'll find it enlightening.
I'm sure it'll be enlightening. I get this information about things that I have escaped me in my past.
Exactly. All right.
We'll have John meditating in like a month.
Yes, yes. All righty, so we've got our assignments, we've got our calendar. We're
Yeah,
back here, we've
Linda is-
established a calendar. Do we have any more discussion on what we have just reviewed? Everyone has their marching orders. We'll be getting, an email from Lexi, and included in that will be the high cover sheet that we've been talking about, just that you can record your information on.
And then we'll also include the assignments for
Yes.
everybody and the planned schedule going forward to the
Yes.
end of the cycle.
Yes, and that, most likely Monday or so, you'll get that. I'm moving on to item number 9, which is the discussion of Riftelis, next steps, etc. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the meeting that we had a month ago now. It's October 7th. And what comes next from here? As we said, we did a lot of tweaking in the application, and we're sort of changing the tires as we're riding the bike down the road. I know that if given our druthers, we need to get through this cycle and then dig in potentially in February, looking at what comes next. In the meantime, a request has been made by Jericho for and I'll turn it over to him because it's an extension, the EIR.
So, sorry.
Look at the owl.
Yeah, and I moved the mic around, so we should be doing better now. The recommendation from Raftellus was two things: a needs assessment and a facilitated meeting between CRC and CHS. That's the Contract Review Committee and the Council for Human Services. That meeting, I'm in the midst of drawing up a contract for Raftellus to facilitate the meeting. Most likely that meeting would be in March or April, or potentially early May. And it would be a sit-down meeting between us and CHS to review who does what, to establish timetables for this process going forward, and then to just have essentially a Bible of responsibilities and of basic Bible of responsibilities and a firmer timeline and procedures and protocols for the grant process. So I'm gonna get the contract for that sorted out before the end of this year, and then I'll be able to figure out how much time we have. But my estimation is that sometime between March and May, we'll have a sit-down meeting with both boards. At the end of that, a document will be produced that's the guidelines for how we do that, and then we'll adopt that as our standard operating procedures going forward.
Needs assessment, because that's,
So needs assessment was originally proposed as a adjustment to my budget. It has been switched. It is now going to be coming out of the central strategic fund on an admin level. I'm drafting the scope for that contract right now. I'll review it with my boss, Rocky, and then with admin, and then we're going to put it to bid because it's over the threshold for open bids by Mass state law, which means it has to go to bid. Then we'll have to do a bidding process. We did the similar process when we secured Raftellus for this, and that added about a week or two for the cycle. So I'll know what the shape of the needs assessment is and what the scope is by most likely either end of this year or very early next year, and then we'll start the recruiting process on how we're going to do it. When I have a firmer draft of the scope, I might be sharing it with a couple members of this body and CHS to get additional input. But with scopes, those are generally determined, they're finally determined via admin. So it'd be an oversight or an I didn't forget anything type element to it.
okay. So basically, you know, what all this says is needs assessment, we know we need to have, hasn't been done in a long time. And that is part of the roadmap for what we do. So that will take place. I don't anticipate that we're going to have those results back until probably next year, close to this time.
The idea is to have the needs assessment done in time for us to use it as part of our process next year, if possible.
Right.
I am
So that means
skeptical,
it has to be done by September.
basically.
Okay,
And I am skeptical that will happen, but that is the intent, at least to have the process in place by when we start, so we can at least be doing some oversight in the needs assessment as it goes along. But it's a big project, and in all honesty, I would hope that it would take about 4 or 5 months from when it starts. So I don't think we'll have the finished one by the start.
Sue?
Yeah, based on just the smaller scope of the behavioral health needs assessment that was done. I mean, if everything went perfect between now and June or May even, and it could launch, doing a needs assessment in the summer on our community it didn't prove well for behavioral health.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would be shocked if we had it in place for
Okay.
next fall.
John, I see a hand up.
Just for the record, I will be off island February and March in terms of we're scheduling a meeting to get together.
Okay.
And I think it's relatively safe to assume it'll be like April, May is my guess. And then obviously anything we do, we'll make sure we have a hybrid option, because we have a lot of people who are like, have warmer places to be in the springtime.
Okay. Alrighty.
And I did it again.
Okay. I think that wraps that up. Any other business?
I would just, along with what John was just saying, I'm gonna be gone for January, February, March, and I'll come back at the end of April. But if we're having Zoom meetings, I can still participate that way.
Right, and the way that I look at it, we have hybrid meetings, and I know has that changed? Because I thought it was March 25 that the decision would be,
So
but that will be done by March. So Bert, you'll be covered in Zoom meetings. We'll see you in Florida.
yeah, and I don't think.
Yeah. Although
Whatever.
up here's been so nice, there's no sense to go down there.
We've, I think it's pretty safe to assume that whatever the acts of 2025 are, or whatever they are this year, they will maintain.
Yeah.
They're never going back on that.
I
So.
can't imagine, but there's a lot of things that's happened that we never imagined would be possible, so.
Fair.
But hopefully we'll be able to continue with hybrid, because I think that we get more participation by having options, so, thank you.
Ron,
Joanna?
I just have a couple questions. So going back to the Health and Human Services grant, right? So we have $675,000 available, right?
650.
Yeah.
650, okay.
650 on Health and Human Services and 175 on substance misuse.
And the total asks, it looks like right around $1.4 million is the
Yes.
total
Yep.
ask.
Yes.
So very briefly, two things that this shows is that we need to have a better idea of what the total grant number is going to be before we start the process, so people know how to gauge their requests. So I didn't get confirmation on our total amounts for both of the grants until a few weeks ago, which means that we can't advertise how much we're going to have, so people can't properly tailor their bid to the total amount. And as a result, like, that's something that I think means that we are not seeing a good gauge of demand. Like, we're not seeing properly calibrated
Right.
requests.
Right. And I think, I'm sorry, Joanna, go on.
Well, the other question I was gonna have is, if we know that this is the last year we're gonna get the 175, have we, because you're working on your budget right now, Jericho, have you put in for more money than 650 for next year?
I've been, so I do not put in for. I do not put in for this grant budget. We don't have a guideline for how the amount of
Number
this
is
is determined, and that's one of the things we need to iron out this spring. There needs to be a more transparent way for us to determine the amount in this, as opposed to finding out often months into the process.
Who determines the
Well,
amount?
I was just gonna get at this, because this is I mean, we budget for this. So theoretically, someone sets the budget for this. And what department is that in? Isn't it in your department?
It has never been I have never been asked to do a request for this. I am informed usually towards the end of Q1 of a given fiscal year what my budget is going to be. And it is usually not communicated as part of the budgetary process. I don't know that there's an explicit guideline for that, and this might just be past practices, but that is something that I would like clear and transparent guidelines on, and that's one of the things that was both a recommendation from the Raftella study and an output from our mediated discussion.
Well, what I would like to do is because I'm your finance committee representative, I'm going to bring this to the finance committee. Because especially in the process of evaluating the budget for FY 26, if you're telling me that the 175 is going to go away, this is something that we should be discussing there.
Right. Right,
Amen.
Amen, right?
yes.
So I will reach out, because we start meeting shortly, and we review, just so everyone here knows, we review all of the department's budgets and all of the expenses. So I can ask for clarification on how this is determined, and I can also ask for an increase. I can ask the finance committee to recommend an increase so that at least we are level funded for next year.
Right.
Right, but I think that has to be, I think we need a motion and a vote so that I can take this back.
Okay, so can,
Which
Joanne,
by
you
the
make
way,
the
I
motion.
should not make the motion. I
Okay.
should not make the
Yeah,
motion.
yeah.
Okay, so can I have,
I'll make a
So-
motion for Joanna to discuss with the finance committee and request level funding in next year's budget for contract review committee grants?
So moved.
health and, for both,
For both the human services and the substance misuse.
So we're currently discussing FY 26. So this would need to be, in my opinion, it would need to be discussed for FY 27.
Right.
So it would be,
Yes.
my very
Yes.
humble suggestion for a motion would be something along the lines of, the contract review committee requests clarification on the budgetary process for the human services grants and level funding for substance misuse in FY 27.
At least level funding.
Yeah, or, I mean, I wouldn't want to hem us in for 27. The reason we did all of these modifications is to eventually go above that threshold. Because it's pretty clear to me that there is more worthwhile program that could be funded in this area. But more importantly, that is just transparency and consistency in the process of
Right.
communicating that, because that's impairing our ability to adequately request funding.
Right.
okay,
So I make that motion as stated by Jericho.
okay, can you just repeat, make it concise, so
Can-
we have a.
Did you write it down? Oh, goodness.
Sure.
Okay, go.
He's writing it down.
Okay,
If I can read it, that's gonna be a
Yeah,
different.
no, I got the doctor's handwriting, but no MD.
You mean you were educated to write something that people can't read?
But I can't write prescriptions, so it's a waste.
well. A lot of people can't read script anymore.
Where is Erica Mooney when we need her?
Yeah,
She has such good handwriting.
Well, and she can just remembers all the things.
okay,
A motion,
But read through it and see if that makes sense.
well, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
4-2.
it's just two.
Okay, motion to determine allocation process for CRC grant and determine substance grant, misuse grant future.
Or go ahead.
for
and-
Joanna.
For Joanna to
No,
bring
it's
to,
good.
present to the finance committee to determine allocation process for CRC grant and determine substance misuse grant future.
Nope.
No.
Nope. It's
No.
gotta be something like the CRC committee requests that the FinCom rep go back to FinCom and
Right.
ask for clarification on on how you're requesting me
Yeah.
Yes.
go to FinCom and
FY 27.
yes,
Yeah.
and ask for well, no, you're asking me for two things. You're asking me to go back and ask for uh clarification on the process used to determine the H&H service grant amount. That's the first thing. You're asking me to get clarification on the process. And then you're asking me to request level funding for FY 27 due to the funding mechanism for the behavioral health grant,
Oh, substance misuse.
substance misuse grant, going away. And we should use the word at least level funding.
Yeah, yes, at least,
At least
needs to
level
be there.
Okay, let me try this again.
All right.
We'll get it.
We'll
My
get it.
motion is that the CRC requests that the finance committee rep bring to the finance committee and request from the finance committee clarification on the allocation process for the CRC Human Services Grant and request at least level funding for the substance misuse grant due to the change in its funding
For fiscal year 27.
for
Okay.
fiscal year 27.
You're close. So
I'm
it's not
close.
the word, it's not allocation. We're not requesting clarification on, we want clarification on how the amount is determined. We're the ones doing the allocating.
All right, I have to leave, everybody. Thank you. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Linda.
Thanks,
We're
Linda.
still fine.
Okay.
And
See you, Linda.
okay. So the CRC, I'm making a motion for this. This doesn't even make sense anymore.
So we just
But-
want those two things.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to start it. So my motion is the CRC requests that the finance committee representative bring to the finance committee our request. Well, I'm requesting a lot of clarification on how the funding amount is calculated for the human services grant and requests at least level funding for the substance misuse grant in fiscal year 27 due to the change in funding source for those dollars.
Yes,
Okay, good.
That's my
Yes.
motion.
Second?
that's it.
You have a second?
Second.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you.
And a vote on it. Joanna,
Aye.
John,
Aye,
Bert,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye, aye, aye.
and Veronica, yes. All right. So thank you, Joanna, for bringing that to the finance committee.
The only other thing I want to say is thank you, Jericho. On my packet, in case you look at this, everybody, I got a notebook with everything printed out in it, and I greatly appreciate it.
I'll be getting binders for everybody this year.
Thank
It was
you.
awesome.
So
Yes,
fancy.
Yes,
3-hole punch. I was gonna
And-
print up little cover sheets, but I didn't have time.
that's okay. And John, yours will be in your mailbox in the next half hour.
wonderful.
Any other business? All right. With
Motion
no
to
other
adjourn.
business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to.
I can make that motion very
Okay.
quickly.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second,
All righty, Bert,
Aye.
John,
aye.
Joanna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
and myself, I thank you all. We got through it fairly efficiently, so good luck in your work over the next month and a half. Happy Thanksgiving and
Thank-
et cetera.
I have a perfect last observation for Joanna. I really appreciate listening to you on Sunday mornings with your interview on behalf of Mariah Mitchell. I just want that brought out in
Oh, thank you.
public
Thank you.
of this group because you do it very well.
Thank you. I'll make a little plug. If you haven't heard the one where I interviewed the naval commander, you
Uh-huh.
should listen because she's amazing. Her name is Kari Yakisabin, and she is one of 4 female warship commanders in the U.S. Navy.
Nice.
And she is in charge of the littoral warship, the USS Nantucket, which is going to be commissioned in Boston next weekend.
I listened to it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she is so cool.
Now, they're having a live broadcast of that out at the VFW hall. They set
Okay.
up a big screen and all that sort of stuff, and so anyone wants to watch it live, they can come out to the VFW that day.
Well, I'm very fortunate to have been invited to go to Boston, so I'm going to go and actually get to see it because I've met her a few times and she's pretty incredible.
This is exciting.
Well, I have an additional.
Hey, to us on camera.
I have an additional kind of, it may be in the future, but former retired Police Chief Bill Pittman's daughter is about to become in command of a Coast Guard vessel based in Abu Dhabi.
Oh,
And
wow.
Wow.
and they are there for interdicting on drug basis, I believe. But in any event, she is also one quite impressive young woman.
Okay.
I consider her potentially a useful person to add to.
No. Okay, I'll put her on my interview list, John.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Bye,
All
everybody.
Right.
So with that, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll be listening to you, Joanna.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Have a great day, everybody.